iPad. Where is my iPad? I thought I had it before. There it is. 1, 2, 3. I think I've been coming through. Right-hand side small. Here we go. Good morning, my folks. Welcome to COMP1720, 6720. Here on Monday of week 3 in semester 2, 2022. Thank you so much for joining me live, those who are in the Teams chat. Hope it works. I'll just check. That looks like me. I want it when it's up to date. Is that working? That's working. Oh yeah, it is working. It's streaming that, it's recording. Everything is fine. Relax. We're at week 3, which means that you've had your first labs. You have really gotten started with the course content. You should now be able to see the assignment, which is coming up very soon. It is due on next Monday. I'm seeing some folks saying good morning in the chat. Thanks for joining me this morning. Oh, it's great to have people joining me live. It's nice to know that there's folks who are waiting for the lecture to start. I suppose that's a good sign of engagement. Apologies for my voice. I was sick last week, and then I got better, and then I got sick again. So, voice is still not the best this week. Admin corner. Folks, if you've got an assignment question, I'd like you to chuck in the chat right now so I can answer a few questions verbally. We're going to do a few minutes of assignment thinking over the next few minutes. So the assignment question 1 is due on Monday. I'll just open the link for that. As you know, that's not that one, it's the wrong assignment. That's a previous assignment. Assignment 1 is create a monster that moves in P5. We've been through this last week. This is not supposed to be a really scary big assignment. It's a small assignment, doing a small task, getting used to creating an artwork in P5 using shapes, colors, and movement. It's what I would ask you to do is to when you're working on it, make sure you look at the requirements. These are really important, these requirements. And I have lots of sort of positive requirements here, and also some negative requirements, things that you must not do. Don't use images to draw your monster. I know that there are some people who get into P5 and just want to paste images together. That's not what we're doing here. So you're supposed to use the shapes and colors to draw your own monster. I'll give you an example in a minute. Remember to complete your statement of originality. I know some people are doing this already because someone on the forum asked about reference style last night, which was a great question. And remember, if you're having any issues with Git, look at the Git help videos. Now, in this course, it's a no student left behind course. So if anyone hasn't started their assignment over the next few days, I'm going to start pinging them on the forum. And you'll get messages from me in your inbox saying, why haven't you started your assignment? I know you haven't started your assignment. I can see you haven't forked the Git repo. I can see you haven't made any commits. Why haven't you made any commits? Please make some commits. So this is my way of bringing everyone together in this course. I really care about everyone doing these activities, not leaving them to the last minute. And that's why I get in touch with you. So if you're getting an email from me or a DM on the forum over the next few days, asking you to start your assignment, please, I hope you take that as a message on its face value and start your assignment. That's the reason I send you the messages. Someone's just asked, can we use the P5JS reference as a reference? Yes, of course you can. You'll see in my example in a minute how to do that, or a good way to do it. Course reps, I will be listing these today. This is an important part of the course, but I just have to go through that list. We don't need that many course reps. There are a few folks who have sent me an application who I'll just be knocking back because we only need a couple. So I'll be in touch with everybody today with those details. And I know that when people are doing an assignment, particularly in a course that may be unfamiliar to them, they like to have an example. And to help with that, I have an example of an assignment 1 that I made for you. So this is publicly available on GitLab. You can go and look at my assignment 1, and I think it passes all the CI jobs, and I think it's complete. I'll show it to you in a minute in VS Code, but yeah, let's have a look here. Here it is in VS Code. This is my assignment. I've got a sketch. I've got a statement of originality. We'll go through that in detail. I've got an artist statement, and I've got a monster.png. Let's go live and see what it looks like. So folks, this is my assignment 1. This is my monster called Bluebot, Blue Robot. Bluebot is a monster. I didn't design it recently. I actually made this for this course, I think in 2014, which is 8 years ago, which is a bit of a worry when you think about it. And I made it in a different system called processing, which is similar to P5JS, except it's in Java, not JavaScript. And I've made Bluebot do this little dance, this little shuffly robot dance, as my vision of a way of making a monster that moves. So this is Bluebot. I've got my sketch there. It definitely works in a live server, but I can also check that it works. It works on the test server. It works in the live server on my computer. But whenever you do your assignments, your sketch will actually end up on the internet at this special address. So you can see I've got comp1720.kex.anu.edu/my UID / the name of my repo. So this means that once I've uploaded my assignment to GitLab, I can check that everything looks right. And if it looks right on this test server, that means that whenever someone is marking it, it will also look right. What my artwork is. Statement of originality. Monster.png, you got to have your thumbnail picture. That's useful. So I've got a few slides just to discuss the different parts of the assignment. Let's look at those. I'll close my blue robot now. So your artist statement is something that sometimes confuses people, but I've tried to make the requirements quite clear on the assignment code. Your artist statement should be short, 200 words. It's a short document which explains what your artwork is and why it is an artwork. Two very simple questions, but they're something that show your understanding of what you've created, and they give you a chance to explain to us why we should be giving you marks for making a great artwork. Tell us the reasons. Someone's asking me about the mark for my own assignment. I'll discuss that in a minute. Artist statement. You need to tell us what's interesting and artistic about your submission. Don't assume we can guess. You need to explain how and why your artwork is interesting, coherent, and has personality. Those are part of the requirements for the assignment. Be interesting and coherent and have personality. Don't explain your code line by line. So if you're finding yourself writing things like, well, first I changed the fill color to be red, and then I drew a square, and then I drew a circle, well, I can read your code if I want that. I need a more high-level description of what you're doing. And use references to support your statement if you feel you need to. So here, let's have a look at mine again. We'll look at it in VS Code. Artist statement, what my artwork is. By the way, we can check how many words it is, because I've got the Markdown word count extension installed. I get this number of words down the bottom, 180 words. So it's close to 200, but not over, which is a good place to be. And I've put two headings in here because I want to help the marker to navigate my artist statement, and I want to really just answer these questions very specifically. What my artwork is and why it's an artwork. So, what my artwork is. My monster is a humanoid robot named Bluebot. Bluebot has a blue head, a blue body, and two blue legs hidden in a handsome pair of pink gumboots. Bluebot walks around the screen with distinctively robotic movements. Bluebot's movements are controlled by checking the frame count variable. I use the random function to add variation to Bluebot's steps so that Bluebot moves in different directions and in a jerky, robotic rhythm. Excuse me. Bluebot lives in a grey, featureless world, bringing joy through their robotic dance and pink gumboots. Whoops, I'll just cough for a sec. I'm back. Why my work is an artwork. Bluebot plays on the concept of robots as artificial humans. Robots have been expressed as awkward and blocky substitutes for humans throughout the 20th century. One, I've got a reference. Bluebot's simple construction from rectangles and blue colour scheme evokes robots such as the Tin Man, Robbie, and toy robots of the mid-20th century. Unlike modern robots which seem to threaten humanity through war, Bluebot exists to bring joy through dance. There's a mistake there. Bluebot's bright pink gumboots show that it's a friendly robot bringing colour to the world, I guess. So I needed to do a few edits to my assignment to make it perfect, I guess. And let's look at my references. So here's my statement of originality. I declare that everything I've submitted in this assignment is entirely my own work. Excuse me. Except for the references listed below. And here they are. I guess I better get some more water, hey. So here are my 3 references. One from Wikipedia. One is the P5 reference. This is a good way to reference the P5 reference, particularly for this frame count function. Oops. And then one from the COMP1720 forum, which is a good place to reference if someone's written something that you think is really interesting. So I've got more than 2 references here, so I meet that requirement. So someone said, what mark should I be giving this? Well, I'm not going to mark my own work. But looking at this, I think that there are some things that are good about it, some things which are a bit basic. It's probably going to get something like, I don't know, 68 or something, 6.5 or 7.0. It's marked out of 10. Where's the test link? If I look at it critically, it's effective and simple, but it's not, doesn't have a lot of detail, and it could do more. So, oh, that seems bad. Is everything still streaming? Yes. Something really weird happened to my computer for a sec there. Oh well. I suppose to get something into the distinction category, it would need to be kind of very good. So I would look for a slightly higher level of detail in what had been created. And similarly, to get into the HD category, you need to have an excellent level of detail. Someone asked what we're looking for. I think I answered that question somewhere here. Maybe in the FAQ. Resources FAQ. How do you mark the assignments? Here we go. This is what we look for when we mark assignments. That you meet the specification, that you've got a deep artistic process and conceptualization, that you've got high artistic and interactive quality and sophistication, that your code and technical quality is also sophisticated, and clarity of communication and expression in all parts of your work. Someone's asked me why I referenced one thing specifically in the statement of originality. I referenced this one specifically because I used it as an important thing in my artist statement. So if you want to discuss something in your artist statement which is important to your work, it's probably a good idea to reference it where it comes from. So this is an example assignment submission. This is not your assignment submission. This is an example. But for example, if I wanted to use frame count as part of my artist statement, explaining how my artwork works, then it's a good idea to have that as a reference. You obviously don't need to reference every single function call in your assignment. Otherwise you'd be reproducing the whole of the P5 manual in your reference list. Just the ones that are important to you, or where if you've taken some code from online from the reference and used it in your assignment, you need to include a reference for it. Is the code itself marked? Yes. It's didn't I just literally just say that? Code and technical quality and sophistication. Clarity of communication. So if your code is poorly communicated, then you're not going to get as good a mark as if someone who's got code which is really clean and well commented and well communicated. That said, this is not 1100, this is not 1110, this is 1720, and we have different learning outcomes. So I'm not marking you on your comments specifically. We're marking you on your artistic output and the code that you create to get there. One more break, the rest should be okay. Okay, any other assignment questions? What reference style? It literally says it in the file. For styling of references, you see this page, ACM style references. It's in the template. Uh-oh. What style references? You use ACM style referencing, and that's the link provided inside the statement of originality file. All right, where are we? Did this bit, SOO done. Oh yeah, a few questions. This is from a previous year, so there's a few things changed here, but basically having references in your SOO is good, and that's why I've asked everyone to have at least 2. In the FAQ, there's a long section about your SOO, so you should use that to reference the references. A few questions. If I include something from the internet, should it be in my SOO? Yes. If I include code from the internet, should it be in my SOO? Yes. If I'm inspired from a book, should it be from my SOO? Yes. If my friend suggests a nice color, should it be in my SOO? Yes. If you have a question that starts with, should I got something from someone else, should it be in my SOO? The answer is always yes. So there you go. All right, let's do some code. A recap. P5 uses this draw loop. Set up, draw, 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 draw. And we learned last week how to make variables that would give names to values. So numbers, strings, etc. And these things can change over time. We've got this concept called flow, where there's a path your program takes through code. You might have to jump around and jump back, but this is predictable, and you need to be able to trace this yourself. Be the code. We've learned about numeric types, numbers, number variables. There are some other types that we'll deal with later in the course, starting next week, but this is where we're at so far. And what are we going to do today? We're going to look at 2 new concepts, which is conditionals and iteration. And if you've done other programming, these things may be familiar to you, or in some sense familiar. Conditionals and iteration. They may be something you're doing in COMP1110. You may have done them before in 1730, for instance. But they're your way of controlling flow in 1720. Just to refer to Evelyn's question, Evelyn suggested that maybe I could have a more specific robot that I'm referencing. Yeah, that would be a great way to make a better artist statement. So I wrote a very basic artist statement as an example, and you could find ways to do better ones within 200 words. I'm not going to, I only spent a few minutes writing that artist statement. I wanted to write something that would show you what was acceptable and expected and good, but obviously it's not something that, or if you were doing one, you may want to put more effort in and find more specific references. So it's not a gold standard, it's a basic standard. If your artist statement is like much worse than that, then you should be worried, I guess. Conditionals. So conditionals let us choose two ways for the flow in our code to go, or multiple ways. So if I run, I can make it to the tram stop in time. That's a conditional sentence. If I've got a spare month, I'll read War and Peace. Well, when's that going to happen? I'll start assignment 1 if I finish watching Netflix. So again, unlikely to ever happen. We've got a special data type for representing truth in your code called a Boolean data type. We talked about that last week. How does this work? Boolean values must be either true or false. So there's no other possibilities for a Boolean. Here's some ones. You can use this just as a regular variable. Let the sky is blue, that's a variable name, equal true. A variable name and the value is true. Let the sky is red equal false. So these are two variable names and they've got a value set for them. When you have some expressions with what we call Boolean operators or logical operators, you get a result which is a Boolean value. So if I say in programming 1 less than 10, that's a statement which ends up being true because yes, 1 is less than 10. If I say 3 equals or is the same as 3 equal to 3, that evaluates to true. If I say 4 not equal to 4, that evaluates to false. So these little logical operators, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to, these are the main ways that we control our conditionals. Super important in P5 and all programming. So here's another way of defining some Boolean values. Let x is small, mouse x less than 100. So this is either going to be false or true, depending on what value mouse x is. If mouse x is less than 100, it'll be true. If mouse x is more than 100, it'll be false. Here's a good one. Let Jan is happy equal not true. So this one's always going to be false because the exclamation mark operator changes the Boolean value, flips it. So if something's true, exclamation mark true evaluates to false. Exclamation mark false evaluates to true. Really handy to have that operator to flip the Boolean value. We can also combine two Boolean values. And if you've studied a logic course or another programming course, you might have done these in more detail. But we can go through just in a very simple way these three important ones. And if we've got two things that are both true, true and true, that'll be true. If either one of these ones is false, it evaluates to false. So one way we summarize this is to have a truth table, and there's the left side, the right side. If A is true and B is true, then the output is true. I'll put that up here, sorry. And if that's true and this one's false, the output's false. False, true, false, 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 false. You could learn the truth table, or you could just like remember that if A is true and B is true, you just have to read the sentence to yourself, and it is what it sounds like. The OR operator does what it says on the tin. It's just the putting this into a sentence with OR in the middle and then working out what the truth value of that is. So if A is true or B is true, that means if A is true and B is true, well, that's true. Either one of them could be true. A true, B false, A or B is true, yes. A false, B true, A or B is true, yes. A false and B false, A or B is false. Neither of them is true. And the not operator is flipping it. So you can combine multiple things. This is really useful, for instance, to work out a certain part of the screen where your mouse might be if you're trying to get coordinates, because you might say mouse X is greater than 100 and mouse X is less than 500 and mouse Y is greater than 200, etc. Oh. So we can combine these things to do multiple things at once. The sky is blue and the sea is red. The sky is blue or the sea is red. Not the sky is blue. And each of these lines gives us one single true or false. Well, let's do one. I'll just make one up. Okay, we'll do the sky is blue. If the sky is blue, I probably haven't told you about if statements yet. Here's an if statement. The way this works is that we have a condition here, if condition, then run this code. So if the Boolean expression in that bit is true, the code in between the braces here runs. So this is really handy because it means we can control whether some code runs or not. We can do certain things under certain conditions. We can choose which code to run. In my case, I'm going to take these two kind of annoying Boolean conditions. I'm just going to use them to draw an ellipse. Oops. And this is not real code. Oops. So there's no ellipse there. Why is there no ellipse? Well, this one's true, but this one's false. And I put an and in between them. But if I make it an or, I get my circle. Another thing I can do if I make an and but turn this one to true, I'll also get my circle. I might have to stop it today. I don't think I can keep talking. So we might have to keep trying with this lecture tomorrow. Whoops. What I will do is come back to you at 10 a.m. tomorrow and basically do more or less the same lecture. Starting from where we left off, I'm glad I got to talk about the assignment, but I don't want you to have to hear me coughing all morning, so I'll just wrap it up here and we can rejoin tomorrow morning if you're available.